Hello and welcome to episode 135 of the How to Survive podcast. The podcast that's spreading among thousands of people. No sign of stopping. There are more and more listeners every single day. Every listener seems to suggest it to 4 more listeners. It's How to Survive.
Yeah.
My name's Chris. Joining me as ever is Joe.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm very well. How are you? You're looking a bit peaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, you just got back from Hong Kong, didn't you? It's a long trip.
Yeah.
You're feeling a bit jet
A
lagged?
bit of a layover. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay, maybe just have a little sit down. Have a little rest.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's nothing.
See, the problem is I could do like an impression of the illness, but it's just violent and horrible.
Yeah. And that illness is the subject of the movie Contagion,
Yes.
which is this week's movie. If you haven't seen Contagion, then it is available in the UK on Amazon Prime Video. And I'm sure worldwide it is available basically wherever you normally look for films. It's a very good film. It's directed by Steven Soderbergh. It's got an A-list cast, all of whom get so much screen time. And it is a great film about an infectious disease.
Yeah, is it the best film about infectious disease, do you think?
I think it's my favourite.
More than 28 Days Later?
Yeah. Well, that's not really about an infectious disease, is it? It's about the breakdown of society, which in many ways Contagion is about too. But let's learn all about what Contagion's about, Joe. In this plot recap, if you haven't listened to the How to Survive podcast before, we do talk about the film at great length in order to find a cure for it. And to do that, we must grow it in the petri dish of our plot summary. So if you haven't seen Contagion, this is your last chance to avoid spoilers. And we'll be back with the plot recap after this.
It was a groundbreaking ceremony for a new factory.
Did she mention seeing anyone who was sick? Anyone on a plane, the airport?
No, she said she was jet lagged.
The average person touches their face 3 to 5 times every waking minute. In between, we're touching doorknobs, water fountains, and each other.
Beth. Mom? No, go up to your room, honey.
So we have a virus with no treatment protocol and no vaccine at this time.
You had a seizure this morning, Beth.
She had a history of seizures,
No.
allergies.
As of last night, there were 32 cases.
Unfortunately, she did die.
Right. And I said, can I go talk to her?
Mr. Amoff, your wife is dead.
What are you talking about? What happened to her? What happened to her?
Upon her return to Minneapolis from a business trip to Hong Kong, Beth Emhoff falls ill with what appear to be flu-like symptoms before eventually collapsing with severe seizures and quickly dying, despite her husband Mitch rushing her to the hospital. Soon afterwards, Beth's 6-year-old son dies from the same illness, as do a number of individuals across the globe, but Mitch himself appears to be immune. He is joined by his teenage daughter Jory and learns that prior to her death, Beth had been having an affair.
What a morning.
Yeah. I mean, in all seriousness, that is a terrible day.
He's
He's on the way home
Yeah.
from the hospital where his wife's died
Yeah.
when he gets the phone call telling him that his 6-year-old son is dead.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
In Atlanta, the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, begin processing information about the steadily rising number of cases of the disease, first fearing a biological weapon. Dr. Ellis Cheever dispatches an epidemiologist, Dr. Mears, to Minneapolis to investigate the disease, and Mears traces the source of the virus to Beth Emhoff while trying to negotiate for public health funds to help her fight the disease. In the process of putting the measures into place, Mears contracts the disease and dies. That's Gwyneth Paltrow and Kate Winslet, both dead.
Yep. And we're only half an hour in.
Yeah. At the CDC, Dr. Ali Hextall determines the virus is a mix of genetic material from bat and pig viruses. work on a cure stalls because scientists cannot find a way to grow the newly identified meningoencephalitis virus 1, brackets MEV1, without it killing off the cell cultures. So basically they need to grow it in order to study it, in order to find a cure, but the virus is so
bloody powerful.
Yeah, exactly. When the virus is shown to be highly infectious, Dr. Cheever orders UCSF professor Dr. Ian Sussman to destroy his samples, but he secretly continues work on them and identifies a usable MEV1 cell culture using bat cells. Dr. Hextall uses the breakthrough to work on a vaccine. Other scientists determine the virus is spread by fomites, which is the name for when you touch a surface. Any point of contact, basically, that could be shared is a fomite.
It's surface contamination.
Yeah. It's a point of a possible shared point of contamination. So like an item or a surface. Or
It's why you keep a clean kitchen.
Yeah, exactly right. They discovered that the virus has a basic reproduction number of 4 when the virus mutates, which means that for every person it infects, they are likely to infect 4 more people, with projections of 1 in 12 of the population being infected and a 25 to 30% mortality rate. And that's worldwide.
That's not good.
It's not good at all. Meanwhile, conspiracy theorist Alan Crumweedy begins posting
What's his
about...
name?
Alan Crumweedy.
Oh, the Crumweenie.
No. Alan Crumweedy begins posting about the virus on his blog, showing himself being cured with a homeopathic remedy known as forsythia. In a panic to get forsythia, many pharmacies are looted and overrun by crowds, leading to the virus spreading further. On live TV, Crumweedy reveals that Dr. Cheever of the CDC warned his family of an impending quarantine in Chicago, allowing them to leave beforehand. Cheever is informed that the government will investigate his behaviour, as this is against the law.
Yes.
Later, it is revealed that Crumweedy never had the virus and faked forsythia being a cure so shareholders could profit from mass panic buying of forsythia. He is arrested for fraud, but walks free when his supporters raise funds for bail. Dr. Hextall identifies a possible vaccine and inoculates herself with it. When Hextall visits her gravely ill father and does not contract MEV1, the vaccine is declared a success and mass production begins. The CDC awards vaccinations by lottery based on birth date. Inoculations take place for 1 full year until everyone is vaccinated. Dr. Cheever gives his fast-tracked MEV1 vaccination to the son of Roger, a CDC janitor who had overheard Dr. Cheever's phone call warning his fiancée to leave Chicago. Meanwhile, Dr. Leonora Orantes travels to Hong Kong to determine the virus's origin, establishing, with the help of local epidemiologist Sun Feng, that Mhoff was patient 0 on her trip to Hong Kong.
Yes.
All the other early cases were people she met at a casino in Macau. Later, Sun Feng kidnaps Dr. Orantes and exchanges her for a case of the vaccine for the people of his remote village. Afterwards, Orantes learns from a colleague that the vaccines given in exchange for her were placebos, as the Chinese government did not want to incentivize the kidnapping of World Health Organization workers. And in response, Dr. Orantes rushes off to warn Sun Feng.
Yes.
At the end of the film, the death toll has reached 2.5 million in the US and 26 million worldwide. At the CDC, Dr. Hextall places samples of MEV1 in cryogenic storage alongside samples of H1N1 and SARS. Finally, we see that Mhoff contracted the disease from a casino chef who didn't wash his hands.
Yep, as if that needed explaining at that point.
Yeah, what do you think about the ending?
It's a bit spoon-feedy. There's a weird scene where Matt Damon's character Mitch has a prom at his house for his daughter who can't leave because she hasn't been immunized yet. Yeah, but her boyfriend has.
Yeah, so she's throughout the film you see them.
Yeah,
his daughter and her sort of boyfriend.
They can't have a normal teenage relationship because of the disease.
Yeah, and he's being a very justified, overprotective father.
Yes. And then there's a scene where he's just like sat in the cupboard upstairs looking at his wife's digital camera.
Mm.
And there's loads of pictures of her like going around the casino, which is fine. And you gather as just a person looking at this as an artifact.
Yeah.
Like the filmmaker has put this here for a reason, right? And you can piece together that she ate something that was infected, and that's how that's how she got it. And then the film could end there. It doesn't even need that, right?
Yeah.
And then
that scene is quite touching, isn't it? Because basically he tries really hard to give his daughter the chance to have like a normal teenage moment in her life.
Yeah.
In her life that has been like ravaged by this
disease. Yeah.
And it's really sweet that she's downstairs dancing with her boyfriend to U2, weirdly.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, are you going to come down, Dad?" And he's like, "No, I will in a minute. I'm just looking for the camera." But as you said, he's sitting in a cupboard and he's looking through the photos of his now dead wife, who he knows cheated on him as her like last act.
Yep.
And he's just bereft and destroyed by the whole experience.
Yeah. But then,
and like you say, that could end the film.
Yeah. But then following that, you've got like a 5-minute sequence of these digital bats and stuff.
Well, what happens is a bat. You see a bat. It has apparently, you know by virtue of the fact that you're seeing a bat that it's obviously carrying the disease. Then it drops some food in a pig
banana.
pen.
Yeah, which the pig eats. The pig gets infected, taken to the butcher.
Well, the pig gets slaughtered for meat, and then its meat is taken to the casino.
Yes,
and then you see a chef chopping the meat. And then someone says, "Oh, there's someone who'd like to meet you."
Yeah.
And so he just like wipes his hands on his apron, and then goes out. And the final shot of the film is him shaking hands with Beth Emhoff.
Yeah.
And it says like day. Does it say like
day one?
Day one, right? Yeah, and that's where the virus began.
But that's so unnecessary.
Yeah, it's almost you don't need to see that.
No.
But this is an odd way to start off the discussion of the film with what I think is one of very few negative points about the film that you could have.
Correct. Yeah.
So what did you think of Contagion? Had you seen it before?
Yeah, I saw it a few years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago. It's really, really good.
Yeah,
it's very sober and also very sobering.
Yes,
because it's a very believable film. And it's not the sort of thing that you want to think about.
No, I think it's maybe the scariest film we've watched.
Yeah, it's made an order of magnitude scarier because of the fact that this could happen and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah,
you're not going to get attacked by the Babadook, but you might be killed by the flu.
Yeah. And to give it some context, Soderbergh wanted to construct a like medical thriller that felt like it could really happen, and he got advice from the WHO and disease and transmission specialists to ground the film in like completely accurate science, and it was praised by scientists when it was released, not just for like the way the virus spreads, but the process of finding a cure and how like frustrating and sort of slow the process can be. And it's so realistic that there was a New Scientist article written about the film in which the author writes that Contagion has been well fact-checked compared to most sciencey blockbusters. Very few Hollywood productions realistically portray the process of science, both its successes and frustrations. That's what makes Contagion unique.
Yeah. It shows you the bad research or the failed research as well as the successful research.
Yeah. And you could, like, this week and last week were both films that were nominally about a global threat.
Yeah.
And yet you could not find two more opposing films in the history of cinema than Contagion and Armageddon.
It is a weird one. I mean, in a way, you've got the real horror because Matt Damon's character, Mitch, as we said just now, goes through the most unimaginably horrible traumas.
Yeah,
without being able to pause for breath between them, and then the rest of the world is destroyed around him before he can even like get a sense of what's happening, and he's just got to keep going. And it's just like that it's not until the end of the movie where he's actually given the chance to become emotional.
Yeah. Like the and the stuff that he's basically the average Joe
Yeah.
viewpoint
Yeah,
of
I
the film.
like they've just like given him a patchy shave, and that's like
yeah, exactly.
a normal guy.
It's Matt Damon in a big shirt, so he
Yeah.
looks a bit fat, and that's it. But it's basically he's the eyes on the ground for the film, isn't he? So
Yeah.
you see through his eyes like looting, and you see like neighbors being shot,
Yeah.
and you see him like queuing up to go and get rations.
Yeah.
And like all that sort of thing. Meanwhile, his daughter is housebound because she's not necessarily immune, and it's just like the sense of anxiety the state of anxiety you'd be in on a constant basis in that scenario. It's
crazy.
It's overwhelming. And like those scenes of sort of society breaking down, I think are just as scary as the disease itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
it reminds me in a sense of the scene in War of the Worlds, which we've covered before in the podcast, where you don't get much society breaking down in that movie, but there's that one scene that stands out where they're driving the car and they've got the only car that works for miles, and it starts like a murderous riot.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. Basically, people threaten them with a gun, and then the man with the gun gets in, and then another man picks up the gun and shoots that man, and it's just like, it's horrific. Yeah, and like that prom ending is to some extent an uplifting ending, and still it's the most bleak.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That's the most you can look forward
upsetting,
to. Is just standing almost stock still in the middle of the living room with U2 playing.
Yeah, but it's. I just think it's a fantastic film.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes down to the direction, because, I mean, the film opens on a black screen and the sound of Gwyneth Paltrow coughing.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, no. Right. And it's like, it's basically, the thing in films where, or, I guess in TV as well, when a character coughs and they go, oh, it's nothing.
Yeah, and you get it.
This is like the whole film is just people going, oh, they're going to die now. Oh, they're dead. Right. Great. And what Soderbergh does is like you obviously start to realize that it's to do with it's being transmitted through touch.
Yeah.
And the opening scene is Gwyneth Paltrow in an airport bar, and she takes some peanuts out of a bowl.
Yeah.
And the camera just stays on the bowl of peanuts for such a frighteningly long amount of time, and you just go like, oh no! I think, and
she
start.
She hands a bank card to the cashier,
right?
Who like holds it too long.
Yeah,
and you're like,
but like every scene, like the kid leaves school because he's poorly, and you have a shot that's level with his head as he like pushes the door open. And then the door swings back in, and it's just the door handle in the center of the frame. And it's just, I don't know about you, but I just ended up like looking back through my day, thinking all the shit I've touched in public.
There's the part where Kate Winslet's character says, you touch your face like 3 times a minute on average.
Yeah.
3 or 30.
No, it's like, I think it's... every 6 seconds or something.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like, and they're like, there's no way that's true. And
yeah.
Like, it is.
Yeah. Because they say, didn't she say it's like in the region of like thousands of times a day?
Yeah.
You touch your face.
Yeah.
And that's how disease spreads. Like, because you're touching your face, you're touching other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's shots of, all sorts of things, basically. There's, door handles, bowls of nuts, bus poles, like, and it's basically, so, in something like Pulp Fiction, right, you've got lots of different seemingly isolated storylines, and then they all
converge on one point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's basically doing that, but through the medium of like stuff that's being touched.
Yeah.
And like the way that those stories are all linked are like, because a disease is spreading between the people. It's just, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's so horrible. And
it
like,
makes you feel ill about ever going in public again.
Yeah. And it's the first time you get on public transport after you've watched Contagion, you'll be just staring at everyone.
Your skin crawling off your body.
Exactly. Yeah.
But But have you ever been on? This is true. I've been on a train before, and someone's coughed next to me, and I've been like, "Well, now I know that this is that you've filled my breathing space with snot, and now I'm gonna get sick."
Yeah. But like you sort of take that for granted in the modern world, don't you? And yet, as this film shows, you could be dead within 2 days.
I know.
It's terrifying.
I've heard stories as well of like parents who have young kids, and they'll be like holding the baby or the toddler or whatever, and it'll cough into their mouth. So and it's like your baby just coughed in your mouth, and you're like, well, now I'm dead.
Yeah, but surely a baby's not going to be carrying anything. Where would it have caught it?
No, the baby shop.
The baby shop. Great. Do you think this is the least sentimental film we've ever watched?
There's nothing grand about it, is there?
No.
Yeah. There's nothing in the way of like the sublime celebrity about this film.
No. Star power is utterly meaningless in this film.
But it is and it isn't, right? It's meaningless in the sense of it won't keep you on screen longer, but it is used in that a very deep blue sea way of killing off a big star,
right?
In a sort of unexpected way, because I thought Kate Winslet was going to make it through the first time.
Kate Winslet, yeah. Well, Kate Winslet is certainly the probably the bleakest and most depressing moment of the film.
She's the Samuel L. Jackson moment,
right? Yeah. What you're referencing is Deep Blue Sea, where the shark leaps out the water and kills Samuel L. Jackson in the middle of his inspirational speech.
Yeah.
It's not quite as heavy-handed as this. Basically, she is working to try and organize the public health response to the disease in Minneapolis, and she gets ill and she dies.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, but it's Kate Winslet, so she's going to be all right. And then the film abruptly cuts to her in like a blue.
It's not even
like
a body
bin bag.
Yeah.
It is literally like a bin bag,
Yeah.
and she's dead, and she's being buried in a mass grave.
Yeah.
And it's like by her friend.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is awful.
This isn't good.
This is awful. And like the Gwyneth Paltrow, the scenes where she's like seizing and like on the hospital bed,
horrible. Yeah.
It's I think what you just said about your skin wanting to crawl off your body, I think is appropriate.
The thing is, though, it's not as if Gwyneth Paltrow is then starved of screen time.
No.
Because she appears in like every scene. Like there's a flashback to her. Like,
yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say the bit where it cuts to her her autopsy, where they peel her whole face off.
Yeah. It's a sore fall moment for you.
Yeah, it really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone else, though, gets a fair stab.
A
fair crack of the whip.
None more so than Jude Law, perhaps.
Weird. I don't like it.
What about it don't you like?
I just didn't find that character remotely believable.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I think that...
you think it's before? I think...
Because I bet you're talking about Alan Crumwitty, who's like the conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, he's like an
blogger.
Alex Jones type, right?
Yeah, he's InfoWars.
Yeah.
Before InfoWars.
Yeah.
I guess, possibly. But he's the one who sparks the sort of false rumours about Forsythia and all that sort of thing. And he's basically like leaping on every single thing, like, oh, they want you to think that. They want, the government are making the vaccine already, like they're just doing it in secret, New World Order, all that sort of shit. And like that's another factor that is a part of the film in the sense that it's another like cultural societal response to the disease.
Yeah.
And it's like sort of when I first saw this film in the year it came out in 2011, it was, you thought, oh yeah, that probably could happen. Now you think 100% it would be a fucking nightmare if there was a proper pandemic situation, because like Russian bots, like fucking like just Twitter trolls, like every random thing, there'd be a million Reddit threads, Facebook posts saying, oh, the government is telling you to vaccinate against this, but don't believe it because actually it does this to your child or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it would be a nightmare. And I think that Jude Law's character is actually like quite prophetic in the sense that, you know, that feels like a person that could exist now.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, that part is all I'm fine with.
Yeah.
I think it's quite ahead of its time in that sense. That
Yeah,
it
definitely.
kicked out.
Yeah.
I think my problem with it is, I mean, I understand that he was meant to have like a cult following, and it's about the power of fake news to disrupt progress, which is an important message. But he was put on the equivalent of like Newsnight and was given equal footing with like the head of the WHO and stuff.
Yeah.
Which, fine, I get, but that's not really how it would work. He'd have his, like, Alex Jones wouldn't be invited on there.
Well,
He'd have his private following.
But it depends what is being reported. Because if the story is that forsythia is a possible cure, then they would have him on because he's the one who broke the story.
I understand what you're saying, but I think like Alex Jones is treated by the mainstream media as a lunatic. He's been on Newsnight before. There's a very amusing video where Andrew Neil was like, "This guy is an idiot," like to his face, right? And he's like trying to cut to like to a break, and he's like,
right,
just shut up, right? Which is like that's how these maniacs could be treated.
Yeah,
right. That's why I found it unbelievable. I also found it he seemed to have like a blog following, and then within minutes was like on posters and
I guess it goes a bit. Maybe it goes a bit too far with the political posters. It's like Hope Barack Obama
Prophet.
Posters. Yeah. Well, he's one of the most abject, arrogant, like selfish and evil characters that I can remember in any film. I think.
Yeah.
He's skin crawling, and but then at the same time. He almost has you believing in forsythia as well, because watching the film, you're like, oh well, maybe maybe that does work.
It's not until you realize at the end that he was lying.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you obviously suspect that something's up, but then the film doesn't exactly like fully paint him as like a lunatic. So you think, oh, maybe there is something in it, which is exactly what would happen in real life. People would buy into it, and people would go out and like because. If this disease was happening and you read somewhere that like a remedy that you could get in Boots, the pharmacy, down the road would cure you of this disease, you'd probably go down there and buy it, wouldn't you? If it was a couple of quid. Yeah. And then you'd be in a queue, in a crowd, and there'd be a riot and someone would cough in your face and you'd die.
Yeah. Yes.
Look, that is exactly what would happen.
But it wouldn't be the Alex Jones type. It would be the fucking... Instagram yummy mummy who's like, I only give my kids forsythia with their porridge.
The problem is
their overnight oats.
Yeah. The problem is now though, in like the modern age, that even reputable news sources, reputable I guess in inverted commas, right? They're desperate to be ahead of the curve in terms of news stories, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right. And so often you'll see stories that are published without the facts being checked fully, then they later get retracted or just buried under the constant flow of news stories.
It's one of the signs of the modern age is like live coverage of an unfolding event where there's absolutely nothing happening,
and it's just fucking rumors and like
there's a guy stood outside a building going, we haven't heard anything for 2 hours. So well, of course you haven't.
Well, the thing that happened, it's in my. I remember the date specifically because it was important to you. The night before your wedding, there was that incident in Oxford Circus in London.
Yes.
Right, which is Oxford Circus. If you don't know London, you're not from the UK. Oxford Circus is basically probably the busiest station in London and therefore in the country.
Underground station.
Yeah. It's a London underground station. Lots of lines intersect. And on this Friday afternoon, it was Black Friday, maybe?
It was around then, but it's the biggest tourist spot in London, and it's also the hub of business
and shopping season and rush hour.
Yeah.
And there was a rumor that, but basically, people started fleeing from the underground station because someone had heard a gunshot, and armed police ran in and all this sort of thing, and. You know, I remember sitting in my parents' house because we were back home for your wedding and thinking like, Jesus, this is awful,
Yeah.
and like all the things that you think when an incident like that is happening, and then it turned out it was nothing. Like
Absolutely
literally,
nothing. Yeah.
literally nothing happened.
Yeah.
And it's probably like someone dropping a bag or something,
Yeah.
and it like made a sound that some person thought sounded like a gunshot, and then like this panic spreads.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but in online, in response to that, you had news websites posting
Updates.
updates about it, and saying like, oh, this has been heard. Apparently, it's a fight between two groups of people. Apparently, it was this and like this number of gunshots and this sort of thing. But it's like it's literally nothing happened.
Yeah.
Like literally no event occurred.
Yeah.
Right. Apart from a bit of panic.
Yeah.
But that's how this information spreads.
Yeah, right.
And like there are also like nefarious people who use social media to advance their ideology.
Yeah.
And so jump on any event like this to
stir it up.
Right, exactly. And so all of that sort of stuff would happen like a millionfold if there was some sort of global pandemic like this happening.
Yeah.
Like
it's crazy.
There's a quote from Soderbergh about this sort of thing in relation to the film. He says, there's going to be information that comes out online where people want to be ahead of the curve. And so some people will write things about antivirals or different treatment protocols. And that information also has a sort of viral pulse.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of the point of the film is that, I mean, the tagline of the film is nothing spreads like fear.
Yeah,
right?
which is, it makes sense once you've seen the film, but also it seems like a really hysterical, like Hollywood horror movie tagline.
But it was marketed as a thriller. If you've ever seen the trailer, it's nothing like the film.
Yeah.
But that's what he's saying. Everything in the movie, the information that gets spread, the viruses that get spread, the rumors that get spread, it all spreads in the same insidious way as the disease.
Yeah.
But it's the disease, in a sense, is containable.
Yeah.
Just don't, like, wash your hands and don't touch your face, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. You can't do anything about misinformation. That's the crazy thing.
Well, on the subject of those top tips that you had for surviving the disease, maybe it's time to move on to how to survive.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any?
Yeah.
Have you got any more golden nuggets of information for anyone who might be sitting on the bus next to someone who's coughing?
Yeah. If they've just coughed in your mouth, punch them in the face. They deserve it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that is true.
How hard is it to cover your mouth when you cough? You sneeze.
Yeah.
Disgusting. First tip.
I think you're getting off topic.
First tip, be vegan. Now, I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. Oh, Joe, it's easy for you to be vegan because you're a morally superior person. No, I'm not. I put my trousers on one leg at a time.
Yeah.
My hemp trousers. The whole thing would be avoided if no one ate meat. That's my point. Your witness.
So no vegetarian or vegan has ever become ill. But
how did in the
film
coda,
Contagion, right?
yeah. It explains where it came from.
So you're not saying, the thing is, you're not saying you, an individual, be vegan.
Yeah.
You're saying worldwide all people have to be vegan.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that contravenes the rule of changing people's motivations? Because some people like eating meat.
Our podcast rules, which state you can't change the character's motivations.
Yeah.
And you...
Nor indeed the real world.
Yeah, true. Well, if you want to survive, net survival. Right? We always like to do net survival.
Yeah.
Don't kill animals because they will die if you kill them.
Yeah, some rural, impoverished areas of the world rely on meat and animal produce to survive.
It's not sustainable though. You grow some crops. But I don't know enough about.
Yeah, just grow some crops.
Just grow some crops.
Yeah.
Look, it's clear that I'm out of my depth.
Yeah, right.
And I think you are too. You don't know what the rest of the world
your
does.
point is that basically the virus started from a man cutting up meat.
Yes.
Therefore, if no one ever cut up meat because no one ever ate meat,
yes,
then the virus wouldn't have spread.
Correct.
The thing is, it's not that he ate the meat.
He prepared.
He's preparing the meat.
If he was vegan, he would refuse as well.
Yeah, but he was just touching the animal.
But
so
yeah,
what you're saying
but a
is
dead animal that he was
never
preparing for food.
Yeah, but the virus lives in living animals as well. So just basically, you're saying don't ever touch any animal.
Unless it will cause them discomfort or harm, then I agree with that. There's no need for that.
No, it's not about that anymore. It's about whether or not you're going to contract a virus, which you could do from a living animal as well as a dead one.
You could, but when do you come across wild pigs?
It doesn't matter if they're wild.
It does, because you wouldn't have a farm of pigs if you didn't eat meat.
What? So no one's ever going to keep any animal as a pet.
Not a pig if it's wild. No, I think you shouldn't have pets.
I think if pigs weren't farmed,
yeah,
then there would be areas of the world where pigs were running around.
But
it's not that pigs were invented when people started eating
when
meat.
you see, like, when you walk down through the woods, you like a hike, don't you? You like a hike.
Yeah.
Do you like go up and grab the rabbits and the badgers and stuff? No, you leave them be.
No, but that's not to say that I never come into contact with any animal of any kind.
What animals do you come into contact with?
You know, people walk dogs. There are cats. You have 2 cats.
Yes, but there's no such thing as cat flu.
Yeah, but there might be a animal disease that's communicable from cats to humans.
There might be, but we're debating contagion. I ask you again, would the issue have been solved if that chef had refused to prepare meat?
But no, because he would have been fired and someone else would have been hired. So, the thing is that what you're saying is basically the same as saying, like, don't cut up that one specific pig. Like, that basically it's a non-issue so long as no diseased animals are ever cut up.
Or any animals.
Yeah, but that's your own political view. But you know, How to Survive is not a vehicle for you to espouse your vegan beliefs.
I'm not using it for that. If that's how you interpret it, then maybe you need to ask yourself.
Every third episode, you're like, well, maybe if Jason tried a diet of quinoa with beetroot.
This is the first time. I mean, one, we were talking about eating animals in raw, and one we're talking about eating animals. This is a common problem,
right?
I'm not lit.
But both times, in relation to Raw,
I'm Jude Law in this. I'm telling the truth,
right? What? And I'm gonna find out that you're actually like committing fraud because you're being paid. You're being bankrolled by vegan
big hummus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, big quinoa. Yeah. Like, I get your point.
Yeah.
Right. That you are making.
Yeah.
That you would like everyone to be vegan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hug an animal, don't eat
No,
it.
don't hug it. That's the word. That's exactly what you shouldn't be doing.
Just kiss it. It'll be fine.
Give it a nice kiss on the nose. It's snotty, dribbly nose.
Just kiss a bat. Ozzy Osbourne would be dead. Eating bats.
Well, he's not, is he?
No.
Maybe
he's doing something right.
We need more Ozzy Osbournes to kill the bats before they can spread the disease.
Awful. Now, that's my point. Do you agree with it?
I agree in a very basic.
Yes.
The conceit. In a very basic way, I agree with the conceit that
a technical victory is still a victory.
Okay, fine. Well, let me one up your mealy mouthed reply with one of my own. Yeah. Wash your hands.
Is this advice to the chef as well?
Yeah.
Great.
Just people in general.
Yeah.
It beggars belief. In all honesty, I don't know if you find the same thing. It beggars belief how many times I am in a
public restroom.
Yeah. And you see people leave the toilet without washing their hands.
It's disgusting.
It's ridiculous and so commonplace.
What I hate about it is when I wash my hands, I then have to touch the door handle where people haven't washed their hands.
Yeah, that's a fomite for you, mate.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way out. Just kick the door down. That's the only way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What you want is, you know, when you see surgeons washing their hands and then they carry them limply, with their elbows out and their hands up, what's her name in The Shining?
Yeah.
When she's running around, Shelley Duvall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So just wash your hands. Forget about Contagion. Wash your hands.
Yeah.
just why wouldn't you wash your hands?
It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah. And you have to, like you say, you see a guy come in,
Yeah.
like invariably fat old man
Yeah.
who is like of the arrogant belief, probably, there's a Venn diagram probably with the sort of man who thinks that he's God's gift to women, even though he's like 20 stone and a dickhead. And you see him come in,
Who
urinate.
hurt you, Chris?
Pardon?
Who hurt you?
You see him come in,
Yeah.
use the toilet, and just walk out. And you think, well, I've got to open that door now.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, mate. You don't know what sort of things he's communicating.
Well, apparently he's communicating, I'm a dickhead.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
That is very true. He's broadcasting that.
Tell you
I would
what,
say.
I was in a public toilet recently, as on the way to your house.
Yeah.
And I had to stop off. I was caught short.
Yeah.
And I was in there spending a couple of minutes, gathering my thoughts,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
Someone was masturbating in the next cubicle.
Yeah.
It was like
And that put you off your wank as well.
yeah,
didn't
yeah, we are. It was Saturday afternoon.
it? In a Weatherspoons.
Weatherspoons.
In a Weatherspoons in South London.
Yeah, and I'm like, what's gone wrong in your life?
Yeah.
And I bet he didn't wash his hands either.
Oh, God.
That's what I mean. This is what you got to deal with, right? This is what you got to deal with.
I mean, if that chef had washed his hands,
Yeah.
just to bring it back to Contagion, away from grown men wanking in Weatherspoons toilets, if that chef had washed his hands, it literally would have saved millions of lives. 26 million lives.
Same with the vegan though. If I can have that, you can have that. How about that? Yours is perhaps easier to implement.
Yeah. Exactly. And yeah. I mean, do you think there are people who are ideologically against washing their hands? Certainly, it seems that way.
Here's a question. Not that you'll be able to answer it, but some people spiritually believe you shouldn't harm any living thing. There's certain religious people who wouldn't use a tissue, for example, because it might kill the bacteria. So maybe they wouldn't, and they're the reason we have diseases.
Maybe. I've just thought of something which means that my idea trumps yours.
Go on.
You ready?
Mm.
The problem wasn't that they were eating meat. The problem was that he touched raw meat and then didn't wash his hands before he touched another person's hands.
Right.
If the meat had been cooked, the virus would probably have been destroyed.
Good point.
And so no virus would have been communicated.
Yeah. Because it wasn't the food she ate.
No. It was the fact that she touched a man with raw meat juice on his hand.
Yes.
And then presumably touched her face.
Yeah. Much like my friend in Weatherspoons with his raw meat juice on his hands.
Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah. So, another tip for you.
Yeah.
Now, remind me again what the lottery was, how they decided who could get a vaccine and when?
It was random drawing of birth date.
Yeah. And each subsequent day would be a birth date.
Yes. So let's say the first date drawn was, 27th of April?
Yep.
Is that your birthday?
No.
No.
I would not be first.
No, you would not. No, it's early April, isn't it?
Yes.
5th.
Nope.
6th.
Nope.
7th.
Nope.
8th.
Yeah, there we are. I'm
There you
going to be
go.
the
You'd have been the fifth.
day. Yeah.
Incredibly, the first 5 balls drawn were the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my tip is you need to basically change your date of birth, don't you?
Right.
And
What, forge your birth certificate?
you could do that. Here's my tip.
Hmm.
This is from the Neil Strauss book Emergency,
Okay.
where he suggests he basically puts himself in with the survivalists.
Right.
And in a similar way to what we did with the game when he looked about shut-up artistry.
Yeah.
It's very good. Emergency is very funny. He meets wacky people and he becomes a survivalist essentially.
Right.
For when the shit hits the fan, as he puts it. And his tip is basically, if you want to forge some documents, go to somewhere like St. Kitts in the Caribbean, where there's not much infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Go to a local cemetery and find the gravestone of someone who was born around the same time as you, but died in infancy, so before the age of 2 or 3. But they would therefore have your desired birth date.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Bribe a local official to confirm that you are that person, maybe offer to build a new church roof if the vicar
Yeah.
signs over, whatever. Write to the birth certificate department, which is often separate from the death certificate department in the developing world,
Mm-hmm.
and ask for a copy of your birth certificate with the priest's signature on it. Go back to America with your new birth certificate and get vaccinated.
Nice.
That's my tip.
And so, I mean, that could only be worth it if you're like literally the last day to be drawn.
Yeah.
Because that sounds like a time-consuming process.
Yeah.
During which time you'd be putting yourself in contact with so many potentially unvaccinated
Yeah.
people.
Going to a less developed place as well to get this done.
Yeah, with probably poorer public health and poorer infrastructure.
I have no idea what the infrastructure of St.
taking
Kitts is like, by the
planes
way.
as well.
Planes, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe just if it's safe in St. Kitts, just stay there. Right. Wait.
So, step one, be in St. Kitts.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I understand the principle though.
Yeah.
It's a long-winded thing because I presume they don't draw out all 365 dates when they're sat there, right?
I think they do.
No, I don't. I think because they say they have to. Oh no, you might be right. Actually, yeah, that's a long lottery draw, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nightmare.
The FA Cup draw. You've
Yeah.
got a celebrity to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Bryan Cranston as a general.
Mm.
Do you buy it?
Yeah.
Nah, too close to Malcolm.
Buy
It
it,
was bad at
Cranston.
that point.
At that point, he was mid Breaking Bad by then, mate.
Yeah, and he wasn't Heisenberg yet, so it was still
Right.
still
I think
cuddly
he
old
probably was.
Malcolm Stone.
I think he
No,
probably
mate.
was.
No, you don't know anything about Breaking
I've
Bad.
got one final thought.
Yeah.
We see Alan Crumwiddy. He's wandering around town. He's
Yeah.
a man about town. And he's in his own homemade
Yeah.
inflatable
Box thing, yeah.
what do you call it? Quarantine suit.
Hazmat suit.
Yeah.
Absolutely rubbish.
Yeah, well, it obviously works because he doesn't contract the disease.
Yeah.
Just wear that all the time, regardless of public health concerns.
Yeah.
Just
Have you got one?
no, but if I wanted to survive any potential pandemics, then that would be one surefire way of doing it.
Yeah. It looks a bit silly, doesn't it?
It does look silly, yeah. You wouldn't get many dates, I don't think.
No.
You wouldn't thrive. But
You're
then
sure you're surviving, but are you
yeah,
really
exactly.
thriving?
This podcast isn't called How to Thrive, Joe. Yeah, it's called How to Survive.
You're alive, but are you living?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, my final thought comes from someone we haven't looked at in a while, Chris.
Oh yeah,
Our old friends,
yeah.
WikiHow, have been in touch.
Great.
They've given us a 17-point guide on how to avoid getting ill. Number 1, wash your hands frequently. So we've had that. And that's something Gwyneth Paltrow did not do, did she?
No,
Not frequently
no.
enough. Number 2, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Now, thinking back, Gwyneth
Yeah,
ate with her hands, didn't she? Number 3, limit close contact with people who are sick. She didn't do that. I mean, what she did
no.
there.
What she did was come
Ask
into
specifically to
extremely
meet
close. Yeah,
people.
exactly. Yeah. What she doesn't, what we don't see in the film is the bit where she goes up to the concierge and says, "Who's the sickest man in the casino?"
Number 4, use disinfectant.
Yeah.
Morpheus uses it, but no one
More-
else.
Dr. Cheever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Furious Styles.
Hmm.
He uses it, but no one else does.
Yeah. And he's fives.
Yeah, he does.
Checks out.
Question 5, consider getting the flu vaccine.
Yeah. Where the people who do get the vaccine,
Aren't seen to die.
no.
Number 6, get plenty of sleep. Now, Gwyneth Paltrow doesn't get, she's on a long haul flight, so
Yeah.
maybe she doesn't get
Kate
very good
Winslet's
sleep.
character, Dr.
Terrible
Mears,
sleep.
she wakes up in the middle of the night
Yeah.
to take her temperature.
Should have got back to bed
Yeah,
immediately.
exactly.
Yeah. What she needed was bed rest.
Yeah, exactly. That's what killed her.
7.
Lack of sleep.
7,
Yeah.
reduce your stress.
Hmm.
Now, look, I take it you've got to go and solve the world health crisis.
Mhm.
Maybe take some time for yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to burn
What
out.
about the world self crisis?
Oh, number 8, quit smoking. I don't recall Gwyneth actually smoking.
No. She's at a bar though.
Yeah, she doesn't quit smoking because she didn't
No,
smoke in the first
no.
place, so she failed on that one.
Yeah,
as well.
she failed to quit smoking.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
Number 9, walk, jog, or run at least 3 times per week. Now,
Okay.
none of the characters are doing that.
No, not that we see. Matt Damon seems to do a bit jogging. When he's trying to escort his daughter away from like looters.
Yeah, that's only once.
That's
that
about
week.
the sum total of it, though. I think in the film.
Number 10,
Hmm.
do yoga.
Okay. Can't confirm or deny that
Whether
one.
that
I think.
happens.
Yeah.
11, go swimming.
No, I don't think there's
Unclear.
no swimming.
Yeah.
As far as I remember.
12, drink plenty of water.
Good advice generally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay hydrated.
Anyone would have been. No one would have survived had they.
Well, Dr. Mears, when you see her in the bin bag,
Yeah.
she's not drinking water. At that
No,
point.
she's not.
So
If
in many
if
ways-
she'd asked for a glass of water at that point, it could have been alright for her.
exactly, it might have done the trick.
13, avoid alcohol. Yeah, maybe what we didn't see was just before that scene, Mears asked for a Cosmo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To be fair, Paltrow is in good spirits, isn't she? When she's in her cups before she dies in the casino.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
We're nearly there. 14, eliminate sugary beverages like soda.
Yeah. Okay. No comment.
No. 15, eat the color of the rainbow in fruit and veggies.
Right. Okay.
It
That fits into your veganism.
does, yeah. 16, eat foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids.
That sounds meaty to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to be getting fatty acids from vegetables, are you?
You might.
Mm.
I don't know. Where do I get mine from?
Fish, probably. I don't know
eat
where you
fish.
get yours from.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't.
Cod liver oil.
Maybe that's why I'm so ill.
Yeah.
And 17,
Yeah.
we've all thought it. We all do it every day. Add raw garlic to your diet.
Yeah.
Now we don't see Gwyneth Paltrow
No.
or Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
eating
Should have added
clove
it
after
to her
clove
fatty acids and water
of
that she's drinking.
uncooked garlic.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much for emailing those in, WikiHow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you very much for listening. If you'd like to spread the word, then be sure to tell a friend about How to Survive. You can tell us all about many of the infectious diseases that you've suffered from and come through the other side of
Yeah.
at our email address, howtosurviveshow@gmail.com. You can also tell us in the form of a tweet at HowToSurvivePod. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HowToSurvivePod.
Yeah. And maybe you liked the show. Maybe you didn't like the show.
Yeah.
Frankly, we don't care. But what we do care about is you leaving a 5-star review for our show on iTunes.
Yes.
Because then we will get more downloads.
Yes, please.
And then we can go to the big pharma
Yeah.
and say, look at all the listeners we've got.
Yeah.
We could tell them not to take the vaccinations.
Yeah, we can tell them that forsythia is the treatment they need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What this is a huge undertaking in order to prepare ourselves so that
Yeah.
we're financially solvent
Exactly.
when the shit hits the fan.
And we managed to do that in a mere 10 weeks.
Yeah.
We changed the face of the tea industry.
Yes.
So yeah, like
Yeah,
if you're listening, big,
Yeah. Listen, if
big,
yeah, MrT.co.uk for all your tea needs. Use offer code SURVIVE.
there's a hyphen in there, I think, isn't there?
Yeah, people,
Mr. T -.co.uk.
Mr. Mate, it doesn't matter. No one did it last time.
No,
They're
it's
not gonna
true.
do it this time.
Yeah. Thanks very much for listening. Next week, it's a film that came out. It's a British horror. Came out last year. In America and I think worldwide, it's released on Netflix as a Netflix original. In the UK, you can find it on streaming services and in the shops. It's called The Ritual. And it's an interesting one to talk about.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening. Until next week, for God's sake, wash your bloody hands.
Especially if they're bloody.
Yeah.
Terrible.